Welcome to the EDC's Vision of Progress. I'm your host, Nathan Sparks, and in this segment, we're going to be featuring the recent Economic Development Roundtable that the EDC hosted, focused on workforce and education in the new economy. Many of you may be aware that 2014 marks the EDC's 25th year of operations, and in recognition of that, we've put together a special roundtable series focused on key foundational aspects of economic development and things that drive economic development for the future of our area. Obviously, education and workforce is one of those. Without education and workforce, our economic development success is very limited. But here in Okaloosa County, we are very blessed to have some of the best focused on educating our workforce of tomorrow. In our Economic Development Roundtable, we had the pleasure of hosting 6 individuals who are at the forefront of educating our youth. In particular, we had Dr. Pam Northrup, Executive Director and Associate Provost of Academic Innovation at the University of West Florida. We also had Dr. Margareth Larose-Pierre, Associate Dean and Professor of the FAMU College of Pharmacy up in Crestview. And we had Ron Garriga, Director of Campus Operations of Northern Florida for Embry Riddle Aeronautical University. We also had Dennis Sherwood, Dean of Career and Technical Education at Northwest Florida State College. And then we had Beth Jackson, Superintendent of Okaloosa County Schools. And last but certainly not least, our workforce development partner, Linda Sumblin, Executive Director of CareerSource Okaloosa Walton. As you will find in this segment, these 6 individuals have great things to say about the future of education in the new economy and the plans that their various institutions have to ensure that Okaloosa County and the broader region continues to be at the forefront of providing the workforce of tomorrow. Enjoy.
When you fast forward 25 years, it's very difficult to know what kinds of technology specifically are going to be there for us. But we know in higher education that there are things that we need to begin thinking about and begin implementing and doing as we prepare to educate students for the workforce and for life. And as many of you know, there's lots of reports out there and things that tell us what we need to be doing in higher education. The most recent is the 21st Century Skills, talking about teamwork and collaboration and critical thinking and all of those things. And in higher education, making those things real so that our students, practical, applied, hands-on, so that as our students move through higher education, that they are really becoming better prepared for the workforce. And some of the things that we are doing is, if you've heard of Clayton Christensen, some of you may have heard his work, he speaks of the innovative institution, the innovative university, and what it might look like in the future. It begins with disruption and changing the norm, changing the way that we currently do business. And as you know, many of you have participated in the past several years in online learning. Online learning is a disruption in the regular way of doing business in higher education. The other thing I think that causes a pause is that we think about higher education as being when we were in school, living in the dorms, being in sororities and fraternities and having a great time. Now, only 18% of students are traditional age students. The rest of them are not. They're working parents, they stopped out of school for various reasons, and they have to be convinced that going back to school is going to make a difference in their future and in their lives. And as they think about it, they choose degrees. If they choose to go back, they're choosing degrees for which there are jobs and opportunities to get jobs in the future, certificates, certifications, a variety of things that make them more marketable and more employable. To do that, these non-traditional students, both now and as we proceed toward the future, may not be going onto our campuses. They may not even be taking the traditional online courses. There's startups all over the country, places like Coursera, who have free, open educational resources that are out there. Many places, the Khan Academy, if you have high schoolers, you know about the Khan Academy. If you don't, you should write it down. These are things that are out there and available and free. So higher ed now is looking at how do we accept competence or competency, whether it's through these things that you learn for free or these bucket full of credits that you've gotten through the years, how you can put them together and how you can get recognition in industry for the skills that you have. Not that you have a degree in computer science, but that you have skills in these areas of programming. And what you don't have, you got that new industry certification to support that next job for you. And so in higher education, the transformation is beginning. We certainly don't have a reputation for moving quickly, and that's unfortunate, but times are changing, and there's a lot of resources, a lot of materials that are out there. And then there's outsourced higher education. A lot of opportunities now exist for the best and the brightest in the world, like MIT professors, Harvard professors, to do their lectures and put their resources out there, and for higher ed institutions to come in and take those and utilize them, so you're getting the best of the best. And there has been a project called the MIT Open Courseware Project that has been out there for about 10 years now. It's been translated into almost every language, and it's being used all over the globe for informal learning as well as formal learning. So you think about the workforce of the future and the role of higher education. We know we need to transform the way we're doing business, because we're educating people for the future, but we also have to take a step back and recognize that now, because of that invention of the internet, and I know it was invented before 20 years ago, but the more ubiquitous use of it, information is available and it's free, and in many cases it's very, very good.
We are in the business of creating the leaders in pharmacy services in the future. When I graduated 25 years ago, I didn't think that I was going to be the associate dean of a program that is primarily delivered via distance learning. So we use Cisco 90% of the time to deliver our program. And the students are tested via Blackboard or other types of technology. We are a state-of-the-art building. We've been wired to provide that education to the students. So we educate them for lifelong learning, and I'm sure as business people in the community, you know that pharmacy is a billion-dollar industry. And so our job is to create the leaders of tomorrow, the people who can practice clinical pharmacy to deliver services to our increasing senior population. And with pharmacy being in this community, then we will provide those services for our seniors, and not only seniors, obviously, from pediatrics to seniors, etc. But our main goal is to create the pharmacists of tomorrow that will lead clinical pharmacy services, not only in the hospitals, but also in community pharmacies. As you know, pharmacy has gone from dispensing to the customers to providing not only vaccination, but also counseling and drug information to the consumers. So in that instance, what we want to do is make sure that the people who are consumers of our drugs are knowledgeable about their therapy, and they can assist us in providing them better services. So our program is a 6-year program, so obviously it goes beyond a 4-year degree, and some people spend 8 years, because if they already have a bachelor's degree, they have to go through the 4-year professional program, and when they graduate, they end up with a doctorate degree in pharmacy, which allows them to provide more clinical services in hospital with physicians and PAs, nurse practitioners, etc.
In tomorrow's world, technology will change more rapidly than any of us have ever experienced. But with novel, adaptive, and creative thinking, we will focus on our students' needs. Some of our student-teacher relationships will occur almost purely through technology. an approach known as technology-mediated education, which we're all familiar with. And books and learning resources will take a different appearance. An entire degree plan will have all the resources or ebooks needed in a tablet, much smaller, faster, and more effective towards learning than what we have today. This will be obsolete. This will be obsolete. My staff, colleagues, and I feel that eliminating the traditional experience at university and face-to-face instruction would be a mistake. But we do realize that over the next 5 to 25 years, machine learning will have to increase to keep up with the large amounts of data that people produce. We're some smart folks. Machines will learn about students' behavior, actions, preferences, and associations. Higher education institutions, including Embry Riddle, will need to figure out how this knowledge is to create a richer and more dynamic learning context. Higher education will have to figure out how to make the college experience more about applying knowledge rather than capturing the knowledge. Embry Riddle will incorporate the mode of thinking with increased hands-on learning through technology, smart machines, and systems. And we will continue to partner with dual enrollment opportunities in the high school. The Embry Riddle experience will focus on higher order activities with professors acting as facilitators of project-based learning or independent tutors of higher level understanding. Remember, as more and more students apply, top universities are becoming more and more selective. Class size has and will continue to be larger due to space limitations and affordability. Massively open online courses that Pam just discussed have been around in some form for at least 4 to 5 years. And these efforts will continue to shape higher education and make it more affordable. Yes, that means thousands of students will be in one course. We must adapt to the demand to be a part of connecting the local educational needs of our local workforce to a globally connected world. No matter how students prepare for their career, they need to earn a recognized credential that gets them into the workforce in larger numbers. We will see more technical certifications in years to come. Higher education is not for everyone, but vocational education could be the link for those who cannot afford or do not have the interest at the time in their lives through those secondary school years. In the next 25 years, we hope that states will think about ways to have credits and academic experience transfer easier to any public institution across the state system. That way, students can finish their degrees without worrying about credits transferring or retaking courses elsewhere.
I took a little bit of a different approach as I started to prepare the statements for today. I kind of looked at what student do we have today and what the technology has done to those students. And it kind of led me to a story that I kind of heard on a webinar just 3-4 weeks ago. It's a webinar on employment and how students are getting employed today and the lack of their ability to do so. And they had a student on that webinar who came on and was quite indignant because the system had failed him. And when he explained why the system had failed him, the system failed him because no one told him he had to be better than the next person. That was his message. I didn't know I had to compete for anything. So I don't have to be better than Ron. I don't have to be better than Mary Beth. I don't have to be better than anybody. It's just going to come to me. And when you look at the technology that we're implemented into our programs, that effect has started to have, what that effect is on the students, it's starting to get a little bit impersonal. And I think that's the message that they're starting to get. Technology, quite frankly, scares me. Dr. Handy's sitting there frowning because he hired me to bring technology to this college. But the technology is changing so doggone rapidly at this point that it's hard to predict what tomorrow is going to bring. But as I start to look at what we have to do for the instructional process, is really breaking down the traditions that we have in education. We have to break down the 4 walls that exist to where we have that traditional model of a student, because that traditional student does not exist anymore. As we heard, we have very few students that are actually living on campus anymore. The distance education effect is having on our programs is just tremendous, and their demands that are coming out of that are becoming more and more great. As a result, you're seeing things. This community is actually leading much of this country. The cooperative effort that we have here to break down from the K-12 system all the way up to the four-year institutions, the universities, the private institutions, is actually phenomenal, because that is what's going to overcome what the demands of the local industry are out there. The other thing that really scares me, of course, is the cost of education. We brought up that the technology itself is very, very expensive, but as a provider, the cost is very expensive. And that's going to require more and more employer input into the process. And I know everybody's sitting out there and you're going, oh great, here's the pitch, he wants money. That's not what I'm pitching for, I want time. That's really what we need, is the time. We need you to get more and more involved in our programs so that we can portray that message to the student so that they are employable and they're the person that you're really looking for. I can't tell you the number of times that I've met with employers, and the number one message to them is, I need you to teach them to be an employee. I want you to teach them to come to work. I want you to teach them to come to work on time. If they take a shower once in a while, that would be good. And by the way, if you teach them something technical in this area, that's a bonus. That's kind of a sad state that we're currently in, but that is the state that we're in, because you know, as employers out there, you have a hard time getting employees that are good employees at this point, because we've lost that connection with the students as we go along. So that's something that we have to keep pushing and push forward. And by getting the employers into there, as we look to the future, the employers are going to be the key factor. And we talk about the cooperation that we're having. We have to have it from the top down, and I consider you folks the top. We shouldn't be dictating to you. You should be dictating to us. It's got to be coming down from the employment, from the business sector, telling you this is what we have to have, but we need that engagement from you also. Besides just the direction, we need the engagement coming in. And I have an example. I had an auto program where I came from, and the students refused to clean the shop. And the message is clearly, you got to clean your shop. We had 2 auto dealers come in, and not the directors of the floor managers. We had the dealers come in and read them the Riot Act. You want to come to work for me? You're going to be a good employee. That's the first thing that you're going to do. So that's something that we have to train them as we go along, is to be the good employee.
I want to open with saying to all of you today that we are charged in education to prepare a workforce for jobs that have not been invented yet. Let that sink in a moment. We are challenged with that. We have to try to think about what it will be like in the future. The jobs that are coming down the pike, I never dreamed I would see the things that I am seeing today. Education can no longer focus on college. We can no longer make that our number one goal. I was a high school teacher. It was all about getting those kids out the door and getting them ready for college. We have a growing skills deficit in this country as we baby boomers are retiring, and yes, I'm in that group, along with these guys right here, I think. We're in that group. We're getting ready to leave the workforce. There will be a staggering deficit to our workforce if we don't bring our A game and get going. CTE programs have to be aligned with college and career, but I would say to you today that a career-ready program will and should be more challenging than a college-ready program. I know of a young lady just recently graduated, top of her class, in a certain skill. Big industry came to town. Little girl goes in and interviews with all these big wigs and all these folks with 100 years of experience. Little first-year kid right out of the chute said, I got the job. And I said, you did? I said, why did you get the job? She said, not because of my college work. They were all like, oh yeah, you got the degree. It was from my high school industry certifications. They looked at those certifications and they said, you have the skills we need. We have to rethink this. I would submit to you that going forward in education, we need to think in academia, what are the common set of core skills that a student needs to be able to compete in any kind of business? What are the technology skills? What are the reading skills? What are the writing skills? What are the mathematics skills? Can they think critically? Are they problem solvers? Do they know how to work collaboratively? Can they get to work on time? Do they know to take a bath before they come for an interview? You know, Linda Sumblin has shared with me on many different occasions. She said, Mary Beth, if you'll just teach them how to dress for the interview and come in here without their flip-flops, you know, they don't understand that. They don't understand that a beach day is an acceptable excuse to an employer. I would say to you that as we develop that common set, that common core set of skills that a young man or woman needs if they want to go into the manufacturing industry, the medical industry, whatever, they have to bring this set of skills with them. We have to learn to integrate academics, employability, and technology. That means it is no longer enough to just teach them how to read and write and quote Shakespeare. We have to teach them how to be good employees. We have to teach them the technology they need to compete. For example, if you're going to take an Algebra 2 class with me, and Ron Garriga and his team and I worked together to develop an Algebra 2 class that was strictly a hands-on student performance program where they took their Algebra 2 skills, they had to design airplane wings. The kids got it. They were so excited about that program. That's how you incorporate academics, employability, and the other skills that they need. Yes, they need language arts and reading and writing, and I'm going to hurry real quick because there are a couple other things I want to say. We have to align our CTE with the labor market. I would say in about 10 years, if I retire in 10 years, you as business come and see me. You come and see me and say, I want you to develop a charter school that teaches the basic skills, and I want you to teach them how to do this. And I promise you, we can do it, and I think that's possibly the future of education.
You know, you've just heard from some incredible, talented educators in the community, and I got to just say, we're the luckiest county in the whole state and beyond to have the vision that each one of them have for seeing where the workforce needs to go for the next 25 years. Locally, we'll continue to grow and do business as we're doing right now to match with our educators to you, the business community. We look at ourselves as a three-legged stool as far as the E cubed in the community. Certainly we need our economic development to do the outreach and job expansion for the job placements that we need to grow in the community. Our very talented educators to the left to continue to do the training components to make those job placements, and then we'll continue to do the job skills matching to be able to place in your business those employees that are qualified to let you expand and grow. I took a few statistics as far as Department of Labor and where we're going, and looking at the top 10 jobs in the next 25 years. They all centered around construction, IT, and also the health arena. I see Alan Baggett's here. He'll be very pleased to know with the growth in construction that obviously leads to good news as far as the growth, but also some opportunities to find the skilled workforce. Some of the statistics as far as the growth in the construction arena in looking at where we're at right now, we'll need approximately 40% more brick masons in 25 years. Plumbers will need 45% more labor force in 25 years. And then for carpenters, we're going to need about 56 more. percent in that labor force. So Alan, our work is cut out for us and we're ready to help with that. Mary Beth mentioned baby boomers. That's a huge issue right now. We have faced with the aging out population. We're working with the Okaloosa County School System, certainly with the support of Superintendent Jackson. We're designing a program called Take Teachers to Work. We're going to roll this out in March, where we're going to ask some of our teachers in each one of our high schools to start with the CareerSource Center. What is labor market information? Why is it important? What can you share with the youth? And then take them to businesses throughout the day and let them see the real jobs. Now, we're not just talking about the guidance counselors going. We want the football coaches, we want the band teachers, we want the English teachers, because they're with the youth all day. And if we can provide them that information as they're teaching their curriculum, their academic during the day, they can weave those jobs into what's needed in our local community to be able to grow and expand. It's not just bringing the new businesses into the community, but expanding the current businesses that are here. Manufacturing, that's a huge issue. We just met with the Northwest Florida Manufacturing Council yesterday, led by Greg Britton and certainly Jennifer Gross, very involved in that. The next 5 years, the deficit for manufacturing jobs is 5,000 individuals in our local area. We have got to beef that up as far as the short-term training, the certifications, the credentials to meet their needs. It's called survival in the business community. Very pleased to hear our educators as well say short-term credentials, education. There's two avenues we all want to end up in the workforce. There's two avenues you can take. You can work to college, you can go into the work field and then go to college with reimbursement from your employer, or you can go to college and then work. So there's two different paths that you can take. Both are good because we end up with a very skilled workforce.
Welcome back. Clearly, Okaloosa County is very blessed to have the 6 individuals who've been part of this program focusing on providing the workforce of the future, both for our existing industries as well as those that we're working every day to try and recruit to our area. I think you'll agree that with these individuals working on providing the workforce of tomorrow, the future is very bright in Okaloosa County, and we look forward to more success to come. I hope you've enjoyed this roundtable program, and I'd like to point out at this time that the EDC will be hosting its second in the series of roundtables for 2014 on May 6th. This will take place at 7:30 in the morning at the Ramada Plaza Beach Resort, and if you would like more information, you can reach the EDC at 850-362-6467. The focus of this roundtable is yet another foundational aspect of economic development, specifically transportation and its role in economic development success. We hope to see you there. Thank you.